Mic test. Mic. Mic test.
You go further.
No, it's okay. Just testing that I can get the audio.
But maybe it's could it be the laptop that's picking up audio?
No, I tried already.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think we are good to go. Hello everyone, welcome to NUS Astro week 11 of the semester. So I'm Julian and today I'll be hosting a talk about the date today. So does anyone know what day is it today? Yes, correct. So today is April 1st as shown on the slide. Okay, so last week, if you recall, Tawako taught us about clocks and time, about how to build a clock and the philosophy about arrow of time and stuff. So today we will just specifically focus on April 1st because it's a very interesting date, right? So for starters, the 1st of April is the first day of the second quarter of the year in the Gregorian calendar. And for leap years, because there's an extra day in February here, so it's actually the 92nd day for leap year, but this year is not a leap year. And there exists only 274 days until the end of the year, or roughly about 3/4 of the year left. And yeah, next. So here are some of the significant happenings of April 1st. And I'll be specifically looking at the events that are relevant to Singapore, science, tech, and astronomy. So in 1748, the ruins of Pompeii were rediscovered by this Spaniard person. The town of Pompeii was buried in 79 AD by a volcanic eruption called Mount Vesuvius. And the ruins of Pompeii actually depict the everyday Roman life during the Roman Empire about 2000 years ago. So the excavations are still continuing today and about 1/3 still remains uncovered. Next, in 1867, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, this was in 1748. Okay, in 1867, Singapore attained the crown colony status from UK, from the British control. Next, in 1905, Germany was the first country to adopt the SOS distress signal. Initially, it was called the Notzeichen, which translates to problem time or distress signal. So it's used as a start of message mark for transmissions, requesting assistance when loss of life or catastrophic loss of property is imminent. And the signal goes like this: 3 dots, and then 3 dash, and then 3 dots. So it's very easy to remember, just 333, short, long, short. Next, in 1919, this guy called Joseph Edward Murray was born. And he's an American surgeon and soldier, and he performed the first successful human kidney transplant in 1954. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 1990 for his pioneering work in organ transplantation. Next, in 1919, oh, wait, I think there's a typo, but okay, I forgot what's the exact year, but this guy was also born on April 1st. Yeah, he's called Claude Cohen-Tannoudji, and he's a French physicist who got the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1997 for his research in laser cooling and atom trapping with two other guys. Wait, why all the years all wrong? Okay, yeah, but I forgot what's the exact year also. It's in somewhere in the 20th century, but her birthday is also 1st April. Miss Wangari Muta Matai. She's a Kenyan social, environmental, and political activist, and she founded the Green Belt movement in 1977. She got the Nobel Peace Prize of 2004 for her contribution to sustainable development, democracy, and peace. Okay, the years are finally back to normal. So in 1948, the Big Bang Theory that you all know is proposed and published in the Physical Review by Alpha, Bethe, and Gamow. So if you notice, their name is almost like Alpha, Beta, Gamma. Yeah. Initially, as you mentioned, it was just Alpha and Gamow. And then they saw that there's another physicist called Bethe, so they try to bring him in so they can publish the Alpha, Beta, Gamma paper instead of the Alpha, Gamma paper. So you can find their paper over there published in the link over there, and you can see that's actually published on April 1st, 1948. So in their paper, they propose the existence of the Big Bang Theory and how it will create hydrogen, helium, and other heavier elements that we see today in the correct proportions of the early universe. Okay, next in 1960, the TIROS-1, or Television Infrared Observation Satellite, was launched. It is the world's first weather satellite, and this is also the world's first clear television image of Earth from orbit, as well as the first weather satellite picture. So this satellite, TIROS-1, was launched aboard the Thor DM-18 Able-2 rocket off of Launch Complex 17A in Cape Canaveral. So it's NASA's first experimental step to determine if the satellites could be useful in the study of the Earth and the development of the meteorological satellite information system. So weather forecasting back then was deemed as the most promising application of space-based observations. However, an electrical power failure caused its mission to end about 2.5 months later, and it currently is still in low Earth orbit, about 700 kilometers in altitude, at an inclination of about 50 degrees. So one more record that it gained was that it is the first long-term observations of a large cyclone from orbit off the coast of Bermuda. Next, in 1963, this lady was born. She's called April Ericsson Jackson. She's an American aerospace engineer, and she worked on various NASA projects, specializing in spacecraft stabilization and orientation, as well as the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, the Mars Scout, and the Tropical Rain Measuring Mission satellites. Next, in 1968, this gentleman called Lev Davidovich Landau, he passed away due to complications from his injuries from an accident about 6 years prior. So he's a Soviet theoretical physicist, and has many accomplishments in the field of quantum mechanics, superfluidity, superconductivity, plasma physics, quantum electrodynamics, neutrinos, Fermi liquids, etc. If you go to the Wikipedia page, there's even more that I couldn't even fit in here. So yeah, he's a very important guy in the field of quantum mechanics. He got the Nobel Prize in Physics of 1962 for his development of a mathematical theory of superfluidity that accounts for the property of liquid helium-2 at temperatures below 2.17 kelvins. And 2.17 Kelvin is actually very cold temperature. It's about -271 degrees Celsius. Next, in 1969, the Harrier GR-1 fighter jet enters service with the Royal Air Force in the UK. It's the world's first vertical short takeoff landing fighter jet, which means, as you can see from the animation, it can take off and land almost like a helicopter. It's manufactured by Hawker Siddeley, and it features 4 thrust vectoring nozzles, which means during takeoff and landing, the nozzles will point downwards and you can take off vertically. And once in flight, the nozzles will point backwards and it will fly like a fighter jet. Also in 1969, the ISIS-2 satellite, or International Satellites for Ionospheric Studies, was launched. So it's launched aboard the Delta E1 rocket off of the Space Launch Complex 2E in Vandenberg Air Force Base. It carried an auroral scanning photometer, and what it does is it scans aurora's invisible light. So it produces high-resolution images with spatial quality that hasn't been equaled since. So this satellite gave us this comprehensive 2D image of what the aurora looks like, while at the same time making measurements of the properties of the aurora, such as plasma properties, parameters, and other processes that are related to the production of the aurora. So this satellite gave us the first image of the aurora from above, as well as confirming the oval structure theories that the aurora actually encircles the North Pole. So it shut down in 1990, about 21 years of lifetime, due to deterioration of its battery capacity. So it currently is still in low Earth orbit of altitude of around 1,400 kilometers at a 88-degree inclination, so it's almost a polar orbit. Next, in 1976, something that you might recognize, Apple Computer Company was founded by these 3 guys, Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs, and Ronald Wayne. So their first product was an Apple I computer, and it was designed and hand-built by Steve Wozniak. So eventually, further down the road, they combined into Apple Incorporated, and now they become a multi-trillion-dollar company that you will know today. Next, in 1995, this guy called Logan Paul was born. He's an American social media influencer with a lot of followers. I don't know much about him because I never watched his videos, but apparently he's quite famous. Next, in 1997, about 25 years ago, something called the Great Comet of 1997 appeared, and its more commonly known name is Comet Hillbot, and its more scientific name is C199501. So this comet passed perihelion, which means the closest point to the sun, somewhere around here. If you follow the trajectory, you pass by the sun and then swing out. So perihelion is the closest point to the sun. So the perihelion is about 0.914 astronomical units, and the comet's nucleus was about 60 plus minus 20 km in diameter, or about 6 times of Halley's Comet diameter. So it has an orbital period. So you see this pink line. One complete cycle is around 2,391 Earth years. So that means the next perihelion, the next time you see this guy, will be in 4385 AD, which most likely we probably won't be around to see anymore. So it has a very optically thick inner coma over here, which signifies that it has extremely fine-grained dust emissions. So in addition to the gas and dust tails, it also had a 50 million km long sodium atom tail. And based on observations, it also was discovered to contain twice of Earth's oceans combined worth of deuterium. So imagine you take all of Earth's ocean and take out all the deuterium, then you times 2. That's the same amount of deuterium on this one comet. It was also detected to have containing organic molecules such as these 4 guys. And it's also the first comet where noble gases such as argon was detected on the comet. And the significance of this argon was that it formed most probably outside the Oort cloud, which is a spherical collection of random small objects outside the solar system, due to the way temperature and noble gases work in space. So here are some observational details about the Comet Hillbot. So when it passed perihelion on 1st April 1997, it was located near this star in Andromeda, and it shone at a magnitude of -1.8, which means it outshone every single star except for Sirius. So imagine a comet being over there as bright as Sirius. Yeah, that's how bright it was. So the dust tail stretched about 45 degrees across the sky. So imagine 90 degrees about this much, 45 degrees about this much. Yeah. It is visible well before evening, and it was visible in the northern hemisphere for the entire night from dusk to dawn. And it was also visible for entire 18 months, which was more than twice the record of the previous record holder of 9 months. Okay, next in 2000, it's initiated by these two guys. They initiated this thing called the Edible Book Day. So it was to commemorate the birthday of another guy called John something, and he is noted for his book Physiology something about food. So there's a quote in a book called The Phantom Toll Booth that it is the perfect day to eat your words and play with them, as the books are consumed on the day of the event. So people will make cakes, but they look like a book, and then they eat the cake after that. Next, in 2004, Google launches Gmail. A lot of people initially thought it was a prank because it provided a lot of storage space and stuff. But eventually, as you know today, Gmail is still sticking around. And I don't think it's a prank yet. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe Gmail might suddenly one day say, oh, it's a prank, and then it just disappears suddenly. Yeah. So back then, in 2004, their competitors Yahoo Mail had 12 million active users, and Microsoft Hotmail had 30 million active users. Next, in 2004 also, something was, it started in 2004, it's called the Fossil Fuels Day. So it's an environmental demonstration day, and there are annual events funded by the Energy Action Coalition and Rising Tide. So the events that they hold will oppose energy derived from fossil fuels, as well as promote education and about alternative sources of energy, and encourage support for climate justice, strong legislation, corporate responsibility, and clean renewable energy future. Next, in 2010, something called the Global Astronomy Month was started. So it's organized by Astronomers Without Borders, whose motto is One People, One Sky. So it started in 2010 by the same people running one of the International Year of Astronomy 2009 flagship programs called the 100 Hours of Astronomy. But apparently they felt 100 hours was not enough, so they made it into one whole month instead. So it's a mix of various programs ranging from astro arts to observational programs. And the program runs for the whole month of April. Since 2010 until now, 2022, is still ongoing every month of April. And it features partners and creates a larger community of astronomy enthusiasts around the globe. So next, in 2013, Tokyo University of Agriculture and Technology unveiled this new technology called the smelling screen. And they demonstrated it at a virtual reality conference in Florida. And it's supposed to be a new olfactory display that can generate a localized odor distribution on a 2D display screen. What this means is basically if you see an ad of KFC, you can smell the KFC. But somehow, due to unknown reasons, it hasn't become commercialized yet. Next, in 2019, Japan announced the name of a new era called Reiwa. So it translates as beautiful harmony. And in Japan's calendar system, unlike the Gregorian calendar system, they actually divide their years into eras, which coincide with the reign of the current emperor. So the previous era was called the Heisei era, and it ended on Heisei 31, when the emperor Akihito kind of like stepped down and let his son succeed. his son is called Naruhito. So now under this Emperor Naruhito, the new era is called Reiwa. So if you ask the Japanese, their year is currently now Reiwa 3, I think, yeah. Okay, next in 2019 also. So European Space Agency reports in the Nature Geoscience magazine that methane gas was detected on Mars. And the Mars Express orbiter actually detected methane within the Gale crater, which is a 96-mile wide crater near the equator, near the Martian equator. And it's also coincidentally the same crater that NASA's Curiosity is currently roving around for the past like 6+ years. And the source of the methane gas is unknown to be geological or biological, according to these two processors. It's still unknown. And it's a significant discovery because methane doesn't just hang around for a couple million years. Instead, they'll decay within a few hundred years. So this kind of signifies that the methane was released recently. Okay, one special mention for about 2 days ago, there's a discovery of star called Arundel. The full name is over there. So Hubble Space Telescope is still up and running. It discovered this star, and it's the most distant known single star. So it's observed through gravitational lensing in the direction of the constellation Cetus. Light from the star was emitted just 900 million years after the Big Bang, which is about, if let's say the time from the Big Bang to now is 1 to 16, then 900 million years is just 1 on that scale. So it's very, very early in the early universe. So the light that was emitted from this star took about 12.9 billion years to travel all the way to us. And that's the redshift constant over there. And the star, if you know, the universe is actually constantly expanding due to dark energy and dark matter. And the light appears to travel 12.9 billion years. However, because the universe expanded, the distance is now 28 billion light years. Yeah, 28 billion light years now. So this star is about 50 to 100 solar masses, which is kind of huge. And it's likely to have gone supernova just a few million years after it was formed. And further observation and analysis is currently being done by the James Webb Space Telescope, which recently just went up there to the L2 point, orbiting Earth. Okay, so now to today, 2022. The moon's phase today is a new moon. So it's actually on the other side of Earth right now. And so you can actually do your ops without the moonlight obstructing your stargazing. And one more thing is near-Earth object asteroid 2007 FF1. It's currently flying past the Earth over there somewhere. Over there. So it's an Apollo-class asteroid, which means that its orbit will intersect the Earth's orbit. It has an orbital period of around 684 days, and its next closest approach will actually be in 2035 AD. So at the closest approach to Earth, which is today, is about 7.42 million km away in the direction of Camelopardalis, a constellation, or kind of close to Cassiopeia and Perseus also. And this distance is about 21 times the Earth-Moon separation, so it has no chance of colliding with Earth this year. For the next approach, who knows? And yeah, next, so this is tonight's sky that is visible. So the constellations from Orion is over here, all the way until Crux over here. Okay, but wait, do you notice that something is missing from today's presentation? Yes, correct. It's April Fool's. And so this presentation will include some pranks that happen in astronomy, science, and tech. Yeah. So in 1957, the BBC show Panorama actually showcased Spaghetti Tree, where they put spaghetti on trees and try to prank people to think that spaghetti grows on trees. So it's believed to be the first televised April Fool's prank on TV. Some people failed to see the humor in it and criticized BBC because it's supposed to be a serious factual program. Yeah. But some people were so bamboozled, they wanted to ask where they can buy their own spaghetti plant so they can grow their own spaghetti at home. Next, in 1959, there's a Mars moon hoax where Walter Scott Houston claimed in the Great Plains Observer that this Dr. Arthur Hayol at the University of Sierras reports that the two moons of Mars are actually artificial satellites. However, this Dr. Hayol and the University of Sierras don't even exist at all. The hoax actually gained more wide attention when Walter's claim was repeated by another Soviet scientist called Iosif Shklovsky, who, based on later disproven density estimates, actually suggested that Phobos was a hollow metal shell. But actually, no, it's just because it's very loosely a loose collection of asteroids formed around a central body and not compacted together. Phobos is probably not hollow and probably not artificial. Next, in 1962, a Swedish TV station announced to their viewers that they pull their nylon stockings across their black and white screen, and then due to the prismatic nature of light and due to double slit interference, their black and white image will suddenly become color TV. So apparently thousands of people tried it, but obviously it won't work. Next, in 1975, BBC again tried to report about changing time to decimal time or base 10. If you notice, there's only currently 60 seconds in 1 minute, but according to the new system, there'll be 100 seconds in 1 minute, 100 minutes in 1 hour, and 20 hours in 1 day. Yeah. Next, in 1976, this astronomer called Patrick Moore, he tried to broadcast on BBC Radio News again that the conjunction of Jupiter and Pluto at exactly 9:47 a.m. that day would decrease gravity on Earth, and if you jump, you just float to the sky. Obviously, that would not happen. And if you look at Stellarium, Jupiter is not even aligned with Jupiter. Jupiter and Pluto are not even in conjunction that year. Yeah. Next, in 1993, a Californian radio station tried to tell listeners that the Space Shuttle Discovery was redirected from the Edwards Air Force Base to this random small airport somewhere in California, located in the middle of a crowded residential commercial neighborhood. And the runway is actually very, very small. It's about 1 kilometer in length, which is 1/3 of Changi Airport's runway. And it has a weight limit of only 5 tons, or about 2 cars. So obviously a space shuttle weighs more than 2 cars, right? However, more than 1,000 people tried to drove over to see a space shuttle arrive. And the funny thing is, there were not even any space shuttle flying that day. And those people are just bamboozled standing at the airport. Next, in 1996, the Discover magazine announces the discovery of, I think, the Bigon subatomic particles. So it's discovered by these two guys, and they claim that the particle exists very shortly for a millionth of a second, but it's the size of a bowling ball. So they claim to be building vacuum tubes to replace microchips, and they were running large current through the tubes when suddenly a nearby computer just randomly exploded. So they tried to videotape it and try to figure out what happened, and they claim to see this bowling ball size thing just suddenly appear and disappear. And they claim that bygons are responsible for ball lightning, migraines, failure of equipment, soft holes, spontaneous human combustion, and even earthquakes. Obviously, all these are hoaxes. Yes, the answer is actually 3. So remember, normally comets have two tails, the gas tail and the dust tail, but the Comet Hillbot also had a sodium tail.